Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Meera, your study abroad advisor, and in my today's video we'll be discussing about the budget that every student should have if they're planning for MBBS in Georgia. So what are the important factors that every student should take into consideration is something that we'll be discussing in this video. Every country will have its minimum requirements when we talk about budget. Again, every university of that particular country will have some basic and the minimum requirements. When we talk about Georgia, what should be your minimum budget? What are the factors that you should take into consideration when you plan your budget? If at all your budget is around 20 to 25 lakhs, then let me please be very honest with you, Georgia is definitely not the option. If you are looking for Georgia, then your minimum budget should be at least 30 to 35 lakhs. So let's say if there is some university in Georgia which has the tuition fees of $4,000, even for such university, your budget cannot be less than 35 lakhs. This 35 lakhs will include your food, accommodation, and sometimes your personal expenses also. Again, your personal expenses, it depends on how you can manage your living expense in that particular country. So in this video, we'll be discussing about the budget. So make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and share this video with your friends so that they can also have some budget planning. The first and the foremost thing that you need to understand is out of your 100% budget, minimum 60 to 65% should be reserved only for the tuition fees. Because the tuition fees is something which is your major expense while you're studying abroad. So I will definitely not talk more about the tuition fees budget. So if a university has $4,000 as the tuition fees per year, then 4,000 into 6 should be your budget. 5,000 into 6 should be your budget if at all the university has a fees of $5,000. So I will definitely not talk more about the university tuition fees because it's very easy for everyone to calculate. Rather, I would like to talk about the personal expenses. I would like to talk about the food and the accommodation expenses. Because Georgia, of course, is a little expensive country. The standard of living when you compare from other countries is a little high in Georgia. But if at all you find someone who says that minimum 25,000 to 30,000 rupees per month should be your expense, then I would say that the student has a little free hand in spending or maybe has a little high standard of living. Because as per my talks with the students who are already in Georgia, I have come to an understanding that there are certain ways through which the students can actually cut down on their expenses. So like I said, major expense goes towards the tuition fees payment, and the another major expense that you would see would be your food and your accommodation. Now, how can anyone cut down on the food and accommodation expenses? There are different hostels in Georgia which also provide the Indian food for all the students. And the hostels that you see in Georgia, some hostels will start their accommodation facilities with $150 per month. So starting would be $150 and it usually goes to $300, $400 as well. So it all depends what type of accommodation you are taking. So that is one thing. And the other thing that what I have seen is the students once they are in Georgia, they usually start the fashion of renting an apartment, and let's say 3 or 4 of them stay together in the apartment. This is one of the best way that I can tell you that the students actually follow to cut down on their expenses. In Georgia, if you're looking for a very good, I wouldn't say very good, but if you're looking for a good accommodation, then the rent would start from minimum $250 to $300 per month. Let's say this $300, if you are sharing with 4 or let's say with 3 students, then $100 per month would be your monthly expense, monthly rent, right? So $100 per month, plus if at all you are cooking food by yourself, if you are not eating food from the canteen every day, or if you are not planning to have food from the restaurants every day, and if you're cooking your own food, then again the cost will come down. So out of my from my talks with the students, what I have understood is minimum 15,000 to 18,000 would be your monthly expenses for food and accommodation. So this is the food and accommodation expenses that you will have to bear while you're in Georgia. Now, there is something that I cannot talk about, that is your personal expense. So personal expense again depends on your standard of living, like what type of life are you planning to live in Georgia. So your personal expense is something that neither me or I don't think that even you can calculate sitting here in India, because your personal expenses will be calculated. You will understand your personal expenses once you are in that country. So personal expenses is something that you have to decide on your own, like how much are you planning to spend. Other than that, tuition fees, major expense, and monthly expense for your food and accommodation will not cross more than 15 to 18,000 Indian rupees per month, right? If you need a little, if you don't want to restrict yourself, then keep it 20,000 per month. But definitely for someone who can manage the expenses, it won't cross more than 20,000 if you plan it wise. So the university expenses, that is the university tuition fees and your food and accommodation. So food and accommodation you can calculate around 2 lakhs or 2,20,000 per year, 2,20,000 Indian rupees per year. And there is something else that you'll have to bear yearly, that would be your visa renewal and your insurance. So these are the fixed expense that you will have every year. So insurance and renewal would not cost you more than $400 to $500 per year. If you're renewing your visa for 2 years or for like 3 continuous years, then the cost will go a little higher. However, if you're doing it yearly, then it won't be more than $500 per year. So now these are the fixed expenses that you will have to bear every year. Now when we talk about the other expenses would be your flight charges. If you're planning to fly back to India every year, then you will have to take your flight tickets also into consideration when you plan your budget. We never know what would be the charges of flights after 6 years. So you will see a lot of fluctuation. After COVID, there have been a lot of ups and downs in the air tickets. So as of today, if you ask me, minimum 25 to 30,000 rupees would be one-way travel ticket. So again, your flight tickets will have to be taken into consideration when you plan your budget, right? So tuition fees, food and accommodation, insurance, and then flight charges. Now apart from the tuition fees, food and accommodation, the TRC visa renewals and everything, you have another expense. When you take admission, the first year expenses normally will be a little higher compared to your second year to 6th year expenses. Reason is very simple. So when you take admission, there are certain additional expenses that you will have to pay. Let's say university registration fees. So this registration fees is the one-time charges that you will have to bear only in the first year. And when you take admission, you will have to translate your documents. That will be the additional expense. And when you apply for your visa from India, that visa application will have a certain cost. And when you go for your visa from India, so that would be your entry visa, you can say. So that would be valid for 3 months. So when you go for visa, then at the VFS counter you will have to pay certain amount, and then travel from India you will have to pay certain amount. And top of that, if someone is getting your admission done, then certainly their service charge will also be added in your first year package. So when we talk about service charge, students and parents will always think that every agent is charging you very high. So I wouldn't say that everyone is charging you high or something, but everyone will definitely charge you something for the service that they are providing. So if you have someone who is actually taking the responsibility of your admission, then you will have to worry less about your admission, because there is someone who's taking care of it. So for someone who's taking care of your entire admission procedure, they're getting your visa done, they're getting your attestation, they're helping you in your travel plans, plus they're also assisting you when you're in Georgia. For that, they will definitely charge something. So that service charge will also be included in your first year package, which is why your first year expense will generally be a little higher when you compare when you compare with your second year to 6th year expenses. So your first year package, then your yearly expenses should be calculated when you plan your budget. So once again, I'm telling that in case if you're taking admission in any University of Georgia which has the tuition fees of $4,000, so let's say $4,000 would be your yearly expense. With this $4,000, you can add additional $2,500 or $3,000 for your food and accommodation. So $4,000 plus $2,500 would be $6,500 per year. So $6,500 into 6 would be around $39,000, which would be around 32 lakhs Indian rupees. And of course, you will have other personal expenses. So let's say 35 lakhs Indian rupees. So that's what I said. If you're planning for MBBS in Georgia, minimum 30 to 35 lakhs should be your budget for MBBS. Again, it depends what university are you selecting. I just gave an example of a university with $4,000 per year tuition fees. We do have universities with $5,000 per year, $6,000. If you take the example of TSMU, it has two curriculums, which one curriculum is of $8,000 and the other one is of $13,500 or $13,000. So for such university, if you take admission, then of course your budget will go a little more higher. So it depends. So it's all your decision, like what university are you selecting. But if you have a plan of, if you have a budget of 40 to 45 lakhs, then of course you have very good universities in Georgia where you can take admission. Georgia is one such country where you can find good number of Indian students taking admission. When post-COVID, of course, the number has gone higher, and after the Russia-Ukraine war, the number has gone even higher, because the students who had plans of taking admission in Ukraine are now taking admission in some different countries. So yes, among the different countries that I talk about, Georgia is one of the most and the preferred destination for Indian students for MBBS. There are many universities in Georgia, and most of the universities are based in the capital city of Georgia, that is Tbilisi. So Tbilisi is one of the most populated city of Georgia, and in Tbilisi you will find many universities, and you also will have many hospitals where the students can actually practice. So Georgia is a very good destination if you're looking for a quality education, if you're looking for a very good exposure. Country is very safe and is also under your budget, so it's not very expensive, right? Unless you go for a university with $13,500 tuition fees. You do have universities with a lesser budget also, so you can definitely consider those universities. And one more thing that I have noticed among many of the students is like they usually opt government universities over private universities. I don't know what concept do they follow, but I just want to tell you one thing, that there is no big difference between government universities and private universities in Georgia. What we need to see mainly is what are the facilities that a university is providing. Does the university have the proper accreditations or not? Does it follow the NMC guidelines or not? And when we talk about Georgia, the entire country Georgia of course follows the NMC guidelines, which is why many students from India are taking admission in Georgia. So if you have a budget of 40 to 50 lakhs, then my first suggestion to everyone would be Georgia, because it is safe country, follows all the guidelines. So you will never regret taking admission in Georgia. Please don't have this concept that government universities are very well accredited universities. Government universities are the best universities. They have the best faculties compared to the private universities if they follow every norms and regulations. That's not entirely true. I have seen students from government universities of Georgia taking transfer to other private universities of Georgia. So you cannot consider any government university, just because it's a government university doesn't make it the best university. You need to understand that what facility that university is providing you. So don't just think that government universities are always best and private universities will not help you in getting quality and the best education. So that's all I actually mean to say. So this is all about the budget planning if you're planning for Georgia. And if you have any other concerns, queries related to the country or related to any university of Georgia, then feel free to contact me or drop your concern in the comment section. If you are looking for MBBS for February intake, then make sure you contact me immediately, because we have very good universities in Georgia where the admissions have already started for the February intake. We also have few universities which have special discounted tuition fees only for the students who take admission in February intake. So to understand and to know more about those universities, contact me on the given number and I shall provide you with the entire information. Till then, thank you so much, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel if you have not yet subscribed, and turn on the notification so that you will not miss out on any of the videos. Thank you so much and take care.